Good start. Okay. Valerie, let's start again. I know you for no long time, actually. I have to be sincere. I know you. I think I've seen you the first time just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Is that recording? You're recording?
Is
that part of
It's recording. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right. Yeah.
And we were speaking about cheeses.
Yes.
So tonight we are here because we want to keep speaking about cheeses.
Yeah, that's all I do. So they call me the cheese tragic. You know, there's a reason for that. I speak cheese, I smell cheese, I dream cheese, I eat cheese, that's all I am.
Okay, so I said I drink wine.
Well, voila, yeah.
I drink wine and I eat cheese and chocolate and beer and other stuff. So
yeah.
So I'm a professional sommelier. For who doesn't know me, I'm the developer of this crazy platform, which is Agri Adventures, the place where people crazy like us can share their
kind of people,
their ideas and their passion for food. And so today is an interesting date, interesting experience. It's a trial.
It's going to be an amazing experience, if you ask me.
That's perfect. Obviously, you're going to bring the cheese in.
I did bring some cheese, and I hope you have cheese wherever you are and wherever you're watching that little segment.
Yes, exactly.
So how does that, how do you roll that out?
Okay, so first of all, I'm a little bit of a nerd of presentation. So I'm going to give you some interesting facts. Okay. So first of all, let's go back on my little presentation. It's not going to last long. Don't worry. I'm not gonna be tedious. It's just because sometimes I like when it's nice and clean. Okay. Sometimes. So we are back over here, and first of all, I want to show you the wines that we're gonna have for tonight. So we have two wines. Here you are. We're gonna have a Pinot Gris. I'll explain you after why. I'm going to explain you after why Pinot Gris and not Pinot Grigio. We are 9 degrees.
9 degrees, perfect.
9 degrees. So I can say that probably is a good time to open it.
Never seen that little thing.
Oh, yes.
I want that. Where do you buy those?
Yes, secret. Now you have to figure out to put it on the website. And the second one is Dolcetto. Okay, who's the producer? Producer is Unico Zelo. I think you know.
I know Brandon very well.
Brandon, perfect.
He is an amazing winemaker, and his wife too. And they are in Gumeraca in the Adelaide Hills.
Lovely.
And yeah, they're very adventurous and they're different in so many ways, but very avant-garde.
Okay, so a little bit of history. I'm a little bit of history nerd. I love history because it tells us a lot of things, a lot of facts that they make the understanding of what's happening after really more intriguing. So speaking about grapes, speaking about vineyards. So the vine is following us for a long time, 7,000 years. The first records of seeds of vine found on Chinese mummies 7,000 years ago. They found it. No, they found it not long ago, but they coming from 7,000 years ago. And then the vine itself has been moved from us in our migrations all over the planet. So we moved from China, then we went. China went in Georgia, and then from Georgia went down in Iran, which is interesting, like Mesopotamia, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And then from that went in Greece, and then from Greece, there were the Etruscans, the population that moved them in middle Italy and also French part, I think, because that is the time in which they moved all over. So the name of the wine, why we call it wine, inum is a Greek word that it was used for speak about fermented liquids. Okay, and inum, obviously, it's really simple. Inum, Latin vinum, and then from vinum, wine. Vino, vin, That is really simple. That is after it's going to be more fun.
You can learn Latin, Greek, French. Hold on to your beer.
Yes.
Or to your wine, I mean.
Oh, the wine, the wine. There is another cool thing, which is this green puddle of, that is amazing plant. This is Vitis vinifera sylvestris. So the Vitis vinifera sylvestris is the ancient parent of the Vitis vinifera. And they've been growing all over Europe and that are nearby the sea or the river as bush plant, okay? This thing is around the planet for 2 million years.
Dear, oh dear.
It's actually on the planet before the us. So
you're welcome.
They were getting ready. Eh? Okay, next, the cheeses. So would you like to tell us about the cheese?
So the cheese is as old as, well, maybe not as old, but certainly we've got traces that date 7,500 years as well, or even probably longer. Certainly we found some nice little elements like ceramic, or what you do, the pottery, that sort of gives us a sense that people knew how to make cheese long before the Christ story. So it's fascinating, and to the point that in fact, the story of the fermented milk is like the cheese has been created by accident, I suppose. And there is a lovely legend that tells you that there was a nomad that was going from A to B on a camel back. And in fact, in those probably Byzantine crescent there, in exactly where you were pointing out with the vine proliferation. And he was carrying milk for sustenance in a little animal stomach. That was the pouch where they could carry liquid. And of course, when he arrived at his point B destination, when he wanted to drink, he had only a little drizzle of some very cloudy liquid, which we know now we called whey.
Yeah.
But the most of the milk part was solidified in the stomach of the animal, and that's how cheese has been developed. Now we know that within that little stomach there is an enzyme called rennet.
Exactly.
And the rennet is what's going to transform the milk into curd and whey. So a very, very ancient story. Cheese hasn't very much, I mean, the cheese making technique hasn't changed that much. We're probably more efficient now. We've got tools that are easier to deal with, to work with, but basically, and that's what I like about cheese, is that what you see today is probably has been traditionally made like it was thousands or more years ago, and I'm humbled by that. I think I feel like it's so important that we continue carrying that story and those traditions.
Anyway, for who's following us, it's time to open the wine. Okay, this is the cork. We're going to remove it. See the tire-bouchon.
Le tire-bouchon.
Le tire-bouchon.
French.
And it's time for open the wine, because the white wine is ready to go, but the red wine, as I learned per experience, it will take at least half an hour to be ready. So yeah, we can try. It's also fun. We can try. I want to show you something else before we go back to the normality, because you were speaking about the fermented liquid, and there is something that not many people know. Now we can see over there.
It's full of surprise.
Yes, which is that the word. Where the word cheese is coming from. Again, like for the wine, this is more complex. So the Indo-European population, they were calling everything fermented quat. I'm not sure if it's pronounced like that. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not from that part of the planet. Anyway, quat was fermented, right? So the Roman, as usual, they've been stealing ideas all over that area, and they put the word caesus in the Latin for fermented food, right? But also, because fermented food could be everything, they apply the word forma to the word, to the sentence, to describe this specific product, which was a caesus forma, or form of caesus. The forma word comes from the language, from the Greek, forma, formos. the shape.
Yeah, that was the mold. That was the name for the mold of the cheese. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What's happened? That we had two different directions. So from forma became fromage, which is the French word for cheese. And from French, we got the word formaggio.
So you're closer to the Greek thing. You say formaggio, and we say fromage.
Yes, and that is coming from the forma word, so the Greek word. What about caesus?
I thought it was caseus. Is that caesus?
No, that's caesus is correct. And obviously that is easy to understand. Caesus cheese. That is an easy connection. Probably it's a good idea now to stop to share the presentation and go back over here because it's getting crazy. So, okay.
Nobody who knows me is going to be surprised.
Okay, so we start with the wine, I assume. Okay, so the jungle is going to go over there for a second. We have the Pinot Gris harvest 2020. We're speaking 100% Pinot Gris, obviously. And
oh, look at the color.
Oh
my God.
Okay, so one of the motives why I have chosen this Pinot Gris, it's because
so beautiful.
And now you can see from the color of this wine. So from the camera probably is not perfect, but you can see from your
what about
wine.
This one?
Okay.
Oh, look at that. Hang on.
So yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
So we can see how coppery is this.
Well done, Brandon.
Gold. Yeah. The gold color. This is coming from, how beautiful is this? This is coming from the skin content. So for people that doesn't know, Pinot Gris is not a white variety. Pinot Gris, it's a gray variety. A lot of producers, they produce Pinot Gris in the white version because it's easy to drink, because you want to have the fruitiness, and because a lot of people, they are worried about this type of colors. They don't know it. So it's more commercial. However, if you make a Pinot Gris, how it should be this color, not the others. So that's why. And the good thing is that when you have skin contact and in the fermentation, you extract tannins. Those tannins, they're giving a better balance in the wine. Also, tannins and polyphenols are preservatives, so natural preservatives. So you don't need to add too many sulfites when you go natural. That's the other motive why I choose this wine. Pinot Gris, they use the word Pinot Gris because it's the same variety. Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio is the same variety. It's not going to change, but the style. So when they say Pinot Gris, they try to refer to the Alsace style, the Alsace area. Alsace is known for Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, obviously Gewürztraminer, all the aromaticity. While in Italy, Pinot Grigio, it's more common in the Veneto region. So Veneto, Friuli, stop.
Laura and Brandon, well done, if you're looking.
So yeah, we're gonna cheer to you. Cheer, everyone.
Yeah, cheers, everyone. Not a bad drop. So
your time.
My time. Yeah. So we've got this idea was to explore terroir, which is another French word for that means sense of place. And the sense of place for me is everything, of course, because it's really a translation of not only the ground, but the weather pattern, the elevation, the geography around, and also, of course, the skills of the people and how the season affects everything.
Exactly.
So it's a huge proposition, and everything that is remotely or closely associated to artisanal products is going to be hugely affected in a good way by the terroir. So we wanted to explore various terroirs at a time where we can't travel as much as we would like. You bought yourself a pretty cheap ticket to go around the world. Mm-hmm. Well done. That was very smart of you.
Absolutely.
And look, if it's, we've got it. It's good for us. We've got it very good in as much as we can.
Definitely it's going to be good for me.
Yeah. So our first little stop
Do you want to move?
is going to be France. Okay,
Here you are.
Oh, what's it? So look at this little one there. So you can see that I'm touching the cheese. This is something that I do a lot, and I have zero apologies because I think, you know, when you touch the cheese, it's going to really give you a sense of what it's like. And obviously it's soft. And we are all in our home, but if I was on my own, I probably would put the whole thing in my mouth, but I'm going to be a little bit more civilized. While I'm at it, and as you probably know, the French are a little pedantic. Cutting a cheese that sort of offers the wedge like that, there is an etiquette, and an absolute no-no is to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
like it's art, right? You'll never be invited ever again.
Yes, if you cut it.
So just don't be uncouth, and at least you should do this.
A diagonal cut, yeah.
Diagonal. So you've got a little bit of rind, and you certainly don't. It is obviously a poor bugger that's going to have only the rind there. So if you do that, naturally, everybody is going to have a little bit of everything.
Yes.
So I'm going to give that to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very
and
much.
I'd like to take this opportunity to continue touching it. And once you touch it, I'd like you, if you go back to us, so then smell it. This cheese has so much to offer. And that's the beauty of real good artisanal cheeses. They're not dead, they're alive. If you haven't been organized enough and your cheese is straight out of the fridge, which is not ideal, then I urge you to put that in your hand. And then, oh my goodness, feels like you could be addicted, but whoa, if you smell the aromas of that cheese, the cheese has an enormous amount to provide you. It's very earthy, very mushroom characteristic. Let's have a look.
Mine is gone.
You want more? Okay. So when you smell, you just really, you just get more information to your brain. You know, eating is very emotional. You should involve all those senses that in turn is going to really feed your memory bank here. Everything we put in our mouth is really connected to our frontal lobe here. So we, even without knowing, have an enormous amount of information there that we can access or not. And usually what happens, there is some strong memory that, you know, you will remember a cake that your grandma used to cake for you every time you would go there. And every time you smell or taste anything very similar, it's going to go, whoa.
Yeah.
But the beauty of doing a tasting well is really to create memories. And it's really gonna feed your future experience as well. With more experience, and you're gonna feel a little bit more equipped to appreciate more following products. But anyhow, back to that, very earthy, very mushroomy, very savory. There is cabbage note, cauliflower. This cheese is fairly completely mature. A cheese like that, called a white mold, is maturing from outside to inside. So in the early days, this cheese would be completely chalky, and then gradually the rind would break down the cheese. As you can see, there's only cream, hardly any chalk anymore, which is a sign that the rind has done a very good job. It's still quite pristine white. I think faster stage is going to start developing some brownish color, and that's fine. The rind is going to also develop some ammonia, you know, and it might be a little confronting. That doesn't mean that you throw that in the bin. I can't do that.
No, like, I will never throw food in a bin, but I generally eat it before.
Yeah,
That's it, no point. So the interesting thing about that also, that we're speaking about Normandy, but Brie is on the other side. So what's happening over here? I mean, that's actually is from where you are from.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a very good point. This cheese is called Brie de Normandie. So they can see the map here?
No, I can actually do that.
So if you see the French map in a minute, you'll see that Brie is southeast of Paris, and Normandy is northwest of Paris.
Thank you, Google, by the way. So now you don't see that, you see what we are doing over there. So we are here. So Normandy, it's this. Is that right?
So Normandy is there,
Okay.
Romand there, all
Yeah.
that's Normandy,
Yeah.
and Brie is there.
And Brie is there.
So
Okay.
when we talk terroir, that's exactly what we talk about, except that there is not a huge difference in terms of the terroir. They're both very rich regions in France. The weather is terrible. I know what I'm talking about.
Oh, come on.
It is terrible. It's like rain, rain, rain. But rain means green pasture, means happy cows, means delicious cheese.
Absolutely.
So, but Brie is made in the Brie area, which is, as I said, southeast of Paris on the other side. And Brie, the difference between Brie and Camembert, I can hear you asking, the difference between Brie and Camembert is the size. So Brie is never smaller than a kilo, 0.8 or 3 kilos more likely. And a Camembert, on the other hand, is never bigger than 250 grams. So size is principally the difference between Brie and Camembert. But the legend tells you that in 1690 something, late 17th century, Protestant priest was running away from the Brie area. I'm just giving away the story there. So this priest was running away, and he stopped along the way in a little village called Camembert. True story. And Marie Harel, that's the name of the woman who opened the door and accepted to hid the priest, and she sort of hid him in whatever attic or somewhere for a few days while everybody was searching for those insurgents. And eventually he left, and when he left, he gave her the recipe, and there was the Brie recipe, which he turned into a little Camembert the size of what she was doing, because obviously mold was very expensive, and she didn't have the means to expand on her. So she expressed the Normandy idea on the Brie, original.
It's also interesting because different size, different shapes, different aging. So it has a lot of influence the way how the cheese changes. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely, because the surface, the more you expand the surface where mold is going to live, the greater the chance that eventually you're going to have a fairly strong, it might take a little longer, but you have more of those molds, so it's going to be more aggressive. Having said that, the small Camembert is going to mature faster, so it's possible that a Camembert will be stronger closer to the dead than a Brie will be, if you know what I mean. So there's more chances for a Brie to have a best after than the Camembert.
Okay, now I would like to do this test because I went around with Valerie's cheese and tasting wines in different places just to make sure that they could work together. So now I would like you to do this trick. You get a little bit of Brie, you put it in your mouth, you add a little bit of wine without swallowing the cheese, and you mix them together, because that is one of the way how technically we do matching with food and wine. So this wine, it's clearing, in my opinion, it is clearing a little bit too much the cheese. It's taking away the softness from the Brie, but you still have the aromaticity of the cheese in the palate. So to me, it's okay. But the fun thing is that we will go on, I will do the testing with all the cheeses, and then we will come back, because I'm pretty sure the next time you come back, you're gonna think, oh my God, so worked well.
Okay, I think this wine works quite well with the Camembert. What's important when you talk about soft cheeses is the acidity. You need to pay attention to the acidity of the wine. So there is a beautiful acidity there, but the texture also, you need to pay attention to the mouthfeel. And this Pinot Grigio, Pinot Gris, sorry, like Chardonnay, would have a texture that is not dissimilar to the texture of the cheese. It's not as thin and cutting through as a Sauvignon Blanc would be, for instance, or a Sancerre. So I like it. So if you want to tell us on the little chat box what you think of that first pairing, I'll be very interested. First of all, do you like the cheese? Do you like the wine? Do you like the two together? I'd love to hear your view on that, or not hear, read.
Read your view. No, it's okay. We're gonna have a chat after. That's okay. So next step. Where are we gonna go next step with the cheeses?
So are we leaving France already? It's heartbreaking for me, but if we have to, let's.
It's so bad. I know.
I know. So we go back on the plane, and it's an hour flight. So don't worry too much. And we're gonna land in England this time, in UK, in a cheddar country.
Oh, wait a second. So I can show over here.
Yeah, it's a
It
quick.
should be over here, right?
Yeah, cheddar.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, let's go 1 second. I'm gonna show you. So we are moving from these. Can you see that? Yes, we're moving from these to these area. So not really far away.
No.
Yeah,
it's very, very
all
close.
all the cheese yummy people is over there. Huh?
Yeah. So you know how the French and the English, there is such a beautiful love-hate relationship between us, and we play a lot with it. But it's interesting that when I was living in France a few years ago, I would have never ever tasted British cheese, ever. How bizarre. First of all, finding a British cheese or any cheese that is not French in France is not easy. It's the same in Italy. Try and find a non-Italian cheese in Italy. It's very, very hard. We're very colloquial, aren't we? But not colloquial. What am I looking for? The terms anyway. But also because of this funny relationship between the British and the French, we just have this funny thing, and we said, English cheese, they can't cook, let alone make cheese. So I've probably offended many of you now, but it's the nature of it.
I'm drinking wine.
Yeah, so let's drink a bit more. Now, you have here an absolutely beautiful cheese, because what I said is absolutely ridiculous.
Let's show them if it works. Yeah, look at this.
It is one of the most beautiful cheese when it's made well. So cheddar is probably one of the most bastardized name. Everything is called cheddar, mature cheddar, what is it, the super ripe, super mature. The real thing is should be with the cloth, because as you can see, this is called cloth-bound cheddar. The curd is poured in a mold, but there's previously this little cloth here, and the cloth is fantastic because it's not the cheese can breathe, and usually after that the cheese gonna be put in the cave and continue maturing for as long as it is possible for it to stay there. The fact that this rind has a beautiful coloration, like from blue to brown to red to white, it's all the beautiful bacteria that come from the cave, and that's also all the beautiful flavor that's going to be imparted to the cheese. So in Australia, I think we're still a little scared of mold, and I think it's a pity, because mold is good. Mold is flavor. I mean, not all molds are good. But there's only one cheese that you should be wary of mold, and that's the super fresh cheese like mozzarella, feta.
The black mold.
Yeah, that shouldn't be there. So if I may ask you, I'd like you to break the cheese the way we break the bread. And you can see the texture is very rock-like. The cheese curd has been cut fairly thinly and then stacked on top of one block on top of another, and so they use the gravity to extract more moisture, and that sort of intensified the acidity of the cheese. This is cheddar is a word. In fact, it's a technique. I cheddar, you cheddar, we all cheddar, and we're happy cheddaring.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so try that.
Thank
Smell
you.
it. You can see that Oh my goodness, it's so cave-like. It's really funky. It's really delivers an idea of, I mean, if you close your eyes, you can possibly imagine the type of cave that cheese has spent most of its life. And you can hear the little bloop, bloop, drops that are just probably, yeah. And there's this the funky and the musty characteristic as well. It's I love it.
So see, technically it's a semi-hard cheese. And then is how much aging has been done over this? Like how many months have been done for this cheese?
On this one, it's still quite creamy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say
melts really well in the palate.
Yeah, it's not a super old cheese. I'd say it's probably 10 months old.
Okay.
Yeah. Still lots of creaminess. So it's another thing, because age for cheese, age only matters if you're a cheese or a wine, possibly.
Yeah.
I like that. But a young cheddar is bringing a bit more grassiness, a bit more vibrancy. See, it's still quite vibrant. There's life there. An older version of that would bring more nutty characteristic. It's going to go even longer and certainly start burning a little bit sometimes, you know, if it's very aged. So different characteristics at different stages in their life.
Now, I would like you to do the same thing that we've done with Brie and this wine, and see how this wine now is elevating the milkiness in this cheese. You will see. You're going to try too, that you're following gas. Try to figure it out how it became so milky, a bit of also yogurt. So that's it, because the cheese and the wine. Before they were not, the wine was not producing that flavor and the cheese was not producing that flavor.
That's so true. Oh, mamma mia.
And that is one of the games, because when you start to marry them in a proper way, you have an extra step in the experience. So you go through one, but it became something else.
Oh, that is incredible. You're right. So that's a perfect. I like when one partner is helping the other to transform it and get even better. Like it's a proper good relationship when one is not only supporting the other, but help the partner to transcend again what it is. And
absolutely. Okay.
All right. So
I have a question. What's the note that you get from the wine, the red wine now? There's a little bit that is open.
Shall we try the red with the cheddar?
I think that we can.
Yeah, be nice. In fact, what grape is that?
Okay, this is Dolcetto. Okay, let's introduce this wine now. So we'll keep it entertaining. So Jungle 2020 Dolcetto from Clare Valley. So still Unico Zelo producer. This is 100% Dolcetto. Dolcetto is an Italian variety coming from Piedmont. First recorded stories of this variety, they're coming from the 1500, from Dolcetto, I think it's Dogliani, I'm not pretty sure. Anyway, so there are 6 or 7 different crew, if you want to say, in Piedmont that they produce Dolcetto. The name is interesting. Dolcetto, it's named after, not because it's sweet, because it's not a sweet.
No, that's weird.
But probably it's Dolcetto. Dolce means sweet in English. So somebody could say, okay, translation. No. The difference is that in Piedmont is a really harsh land. People and wine, they come out really harsh in one direction or another. Nebbiolo is really tannic. So the point that if you want to have a good Nebbiolo, you need to keep it aging for a long time. The tannins, they are decaying in the wine, and you have the violet and the quality. And Barbera has a higher acidity. So Barbera is really acid in the beginning of its life. The only one that it goes really well straight away is Dolcetto. Dolcetto is softer, it's a bit more round, it's a bit more balanced. Did you get my double R Italian? I got it. And that is why being called Dolcetto, which is softer than the others. And this is a fruity wine. You can find cherry, you can find flowers, you can find a little bit of almond if you like, because there's a bit of green bottom at it. And it's a wine that you can easily use in many situations because I found it really well balanced. Doesn't have the peak of acidity. The tannin, you can find the tannin, but it's not too aggressive. So it's smooth. And that makes it actually a wine you can drink on its own, because that is the trick. Like for us, when I have to work, I like to have some old effect or sharp characteristics that I can smooth in some way. Like when I have a white wine with high acidity, I like to go with greasy food because it allows to balance the wine and allows to balance the food. But when I have a wine like this, I'm confused. I don't know how to use it, so I drink it.
Oh, well, that was a poor excuse, but it's a good excuse. Yeah, I think it's quite delicious. Now, there is, in terms of the mouthfeel, this sweetness, there's a gentleness here, which I think for the cheddar to me is a little bit more rough and rustic. And the Dolcetto has a little elegance that the cheddar is not really paying attention to.
Let's try. I'll see what's happening. Okay, let's kill it.
Let's kill it. Did you try that?
I tried all of them to make sure that they were acceptable. Because unfortunately, sometimes in the matching, something is not acceptable. And when it's not, you cannot make it.
No. So it's not bad, but I mean, cheddar is by all means the most wine-friendly cheese. When winemakers come to me and say, can you give me a cheese? I've got a testing here with all my new range and new vintage. They're going to go for either a big piece of Parmigiano or a big piece of cheddar or Conti. And this family of cheese, oh my goodness.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Nice
Sorry,
to see you.
we're easily distracted here. Give her the cheese. Good girl.
Good start.
Good start. Yeah.
We have participants that they are early age, starting to taste the good cheese. That's how we make it next generation.
Exactly. Starts there. Cute. So this is super wine friendly. So I don't think there's much that will offend the cheese. But I don't think.
No.
I think those two are I don't think he's interested in her. It's funny that I might say her, and she's probably not interested in him either.
The thing that doesn't make it interested is because the wine has a tannins inside, and the tannins are bitter in flavor. So when you have a subtle bitterness in food and you add tannin, you do bitter plus bitter. That's one of the things that scares me when I have to do with blue cheese and red wine. Because the red wine has tannins and blue cheese generally it's also bitter. And doing 1 + 1, you're going to have extra bitterness. You're going to lose the characteristics of both. So it's interesting how we should see maybe how it goes with Brie.
So you
should know work.
Yeah, I mean, try with a lot of rind. Then I would rarely.
I would not use the rind for this because you're going to have the extra bitterness from the wine.
Okay.
While if you have the creaminess of the cheese and you don't have the rind.
Okay. Well, it's interesting, but no. Okay, so it's
increase all the bitterness again and the minerality.
It certainly doesn't help the cheese at all, and it sort of pushed the cheese towards its sourness. And I suppose because it's quite, there's a sweetness and it's fruit forward, this wine, and I think that the fruit is really pushing the sour aspect of the cheese.
Well, what's that cheese that I'm seeing on the board? I'm going to show to the people the third one.
Okay, so I think this is a perfect time to introduce that cheese there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Because with that wine, so here it is. Hello, say hello to my little friend here.
Oh, wow.
This is a newcomer's, the new kid in the block. It's been created by a cheesemaker by the name of Kim Masters. And Kim lives in the city, but has bought a block of land in Woodside. And the story of Kim is fabulous. To me, it's one of the best midlife crisis ever. But he came home one day. He was a banker, high-flying bankers working with lots of corporate customers, and really experienced a fairly big burnout, and came home one day and he said, no, I'm not going back to the bank. And his wife was a little worried. She said, what would you like to do? And he said, I want to be a cheesemaker. I just feel like, wow, it's life-changing. And so the wife said, okay. They had 2 kids at school, so they picked it up. They picked those 2 kids from school and traveled to Europe for a year, 6 months in Italy, 6 months in France. He fell in love with the Alpine cheeses, came back home, bought 2 20-foot containers and put them in his little block of land in Woodside, turned one into a cheese making facility, the other one into a maturing facility. And off he went, creating, before that, I forgot a very important step, because he enrolled at TAFE for a year, became a fully fledged cheese maker, and started making cheese 2 years after. His first cheese is a magnificent cheese. If you're interested, I urge you to go to our website, smellycheese.com.au, because you should, or at the shop where you ask for Montforte. Montforte is his original cheese, a bit like it's a semi-hard, I don't know where, semi-hard cheese, and attention to details, a beautiful rind, and certainly a delicate, fairly strong translation of the Adelaide Hills terroir. It's interesting. That's his latest baby, and that's his idea of Italian taleggio. So that's the taleggio was his inspiration. So as you can see, there is a slight orange tint to it, and when you see orange like that, it's more often than not means that there is a little bacteria called brevilinen. And brevilinen is an interesting bacteria, which, by the way, we find in between your toes after you played a big soccer game with your son.
That's why the taleggio smells like
dirty feet, exactly. That is, you know, you can explain everything. But this bacteria, the more you rub it, the more you wash it, which you wash nearly every cheese to try and get some salt into the paste. But this one particularly, the more you wash, the redder the rind is becoming. As you can see, it's very much orange. So it's prompted by this bacteria, which in turn is breaking down consistently the paste and turn that into something that is quite soft and very gooey. So taleggio, I mean, the texture is quite extraordinary. You can see how I enjoy touching the cheese. It's just so nice.
I don't see much lactic fermentation. There are in small bubbles. So this,
so to try that, because the consistency, the creaminess of the cheese, and the bacteria is sort of adding length and a little bit of oomph into it, and it's really and the rind, because it's been washed with salt, salted brine, has this grittiness as well, which you find also on the taleggio.
I have to say that is one of the cheeses that they are not coming from the taleggio area, that is so close to the original smell that I have in my memory. Like, it's fun, but I'm from Bergamo. So I'm Taleggio, Val Taleggio, where taleggio cheese is coming from. It's 20 minutes away from where I'm from.
All right.
So, and I've been working in a place that was selling, 6-7 different type of cheeses only from my town. So that's strong memory. It's cool. You know that Taleggio is named after the valley. Obviously, now everybody's producing Taleggio in Piedmont, in Lombardy, unfortunately in Veneto too. And it's part of the Stracchino family. Stracchino, it's a word that was actually coming from the Longobards, which were a German population that they got in Italy after the Romans. The Longobards, they conquered all the Italy for 1,000 years. Between one kingdom to another, we got messed up, that Italy got cut in a lot of pieces for many years. But Stracchino, Straco, which is coming from that Longobarд language, it means tired. And then it's because it was cheese made from milk of tired cows.
Wow.
So cows that were not, they were coming back from the transhumance, they were coming back on the valley, they were tired, they produced a lot in the mountains, they not producing more super flavory cheese, flavory milk, but this milk it's more fat because they're eating hay. So the greasiness and the aging of the taleggio, that is another thing. The gorgonzola is a stracchino too.
Tired cows as well. What a life! What a life! Who would have thought that a cow could be tired? So back to our little Monte Rosso is the name of that cheese, made in the Adelaide Hills, Woodside, by Kim Masters, whose business called Section 28. So everyone who listens to that little segment, I really urge you to go and explore more about the Section 28 cheeses, because one, it's important to support our local cheesemakers.
Yeah.
Because so many times Kim Masters came back to us at the time where we were his only distributors, and because guys, she might go back to the bank, and we go, no, don't go back to the bank. You know, we're gonna push it, we're gonna make a, you know, and it was really for me, so suddenly, I mean, not, I've always known that I was a storyteller, and story had a big power in terms of selling a product, but for him, it was like a study case. You know, if I wasn't telling his stories, people would not be interested. One, because the cheese was more expensive than the counterpart that we all know. So his Montforte was more expensive than the Comté that everybody knows. And, you know, you can't fault a Comté. And Montforte, at the beginning, you could fault it and go, it's not as good. And it's like $20 a kilo more. So, but as soon as I was telling the stories, people were really getting interested, and then you just get you create a bond between the consumer and the producer, and that's what's important, because then you know, okay, what is Kim doing these days? And then you can also follow the process. I mean, Kim has really enhanced and has evolved enormously, and his cheese is now really good. And it's not that it was not good, but it was maybe not as stable in the early days, and certainly needed a little twist here and there. But once you appreciate that you have a part to play, then I think it's you're part of the adventure. As consumer, I think if we need to take our role more seriously and put our money where we want the producers to continue to survive. And Brandon and Laura, they're only hardly 30 years old. They're incredible. And they put all their effort and passion, and they live in their little shed where they started making the wine. I mean, it's you need to understand that. You need to appreciate that it's an effort of love, and then they get their friends to create a nice little label, and then they put everything in there, but their life is on the line.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. We both producer in wine and in cheese, they are innovative. They entrepreneurial, they are putting majority of their assets in risk for try to run behind the quality and not the quantity. And that's what is important for me when we organize this type of experiences, is bring over to people what is interesting that they can find in the market to support. I don't need to showcase to you the big producers.
No, exactly.
I need to bring over.
I think it's important, and that's what I want to spend my life doing. You know, pushing, promoting people that I really feel like, you know, deserve our interest and support. Those guys, Laura and Brendan, during COVID, they did a daily little live program called Wine for the People. Every day at 5 o'clock, they would invite a winemaker. Or they invited me one day. They invited Stephen Tejos, who's doing some chocolate. So they've been really helping and supporting the producers, this South Australia as a whole, and they've done a fabulous job throughout that pandemic. And anyway, they really deserve your support, guys. So Unico Zelo, superb.
So where we are, up to?
Okay.
What's the next?
So funny about that, we take the plane and we going to Italy.
So we've been traveling. We went in France, we moved in UK, then we traveled back in Australia.
Yeah.
We've done 14 days of quarantine.
Yeah, that was stupid.
just to get
stupid.
the taleggio, just to get the taleggio.
Who's
sorry,
the
not
travel
taleggio.
agent here? And I was
Just
just
to
like a
get the wash,
nonsensical.
right? And then we are leaving and we are going back in Italy again. Where are we going? In Veneto. I know that he's from Veneto because I actually met him.
Oh, did you?
I met him in London.
Which one, Antonio or Alessandro?
Alessandro.
Yeah.
I met Alessandro because I was part of a project of it was a website that was selling and selling products, quality product in London back in 2012. I've been part of that project. And I met him at the event. So we were speaking about cheeses and it was really, really interesting.
So Alessandro.
Thank you, Alessandro, for this cheese. Thank you.
Yeah, oh my God. So when I started developing the range of products for Smelly 20 years ago, I've been very lucky because it's as if I was pulling a thread, and this thread sort of really got me to meet the most extraordinary cheese producers. So very quickly I met with Antonio, Alessandro's dad, and Giuseppina, his wife, and bless their heart, they're still in the business. And Antonio had the business from his dad. So it's the third generation business. Their story is fascinating. And again, Antonio, who is now probably in his 80s, had a dream, and he's saying that he was following one day a tractor full of hay, and they were going on holidays. And you can imagine, you know, those little Italian road, and one bale fell off the tractor. So they all stopped and they tried to put the bale back on the tractors. You can imagine this scenery, and Alessandro was a baby there and it was sort of crying. But anyway, and Antonio grabbed a bit of hay and felt, oh my God. So the grandfather was already making cheese or sourcing cheese. But when he smelled that hay, he had that vision. He said, I want to mature cheese on hay. So he came back home to his cheese place, and he had wine barrels, and he started filling up those wine barrels with hay and developed that technique of maturing cheese, not on wood that you do often, but he started to mature that on hay. And this is a cheese that I'm trying my hardest to get back because the story is extraordinary. And the hay, of course, impact the cheese in a very nice way, and it's going to really get the grassiness. Anyway, from that, was very adamant that anything that the cheese is going to touch is going to be imparted flavor wise. So the cheese I decided to play with is one of my favorite cheese. And when I tell you the story, I think we will agree. Look at this beauty. Oh my God, look at this baby. So beautiful. So it's called Blue 61. It is matured. It's a blue cheese, for instance, as you can see. And it's interesting, this piece is going to give you exactly the cheese making technique. So it's cow's milk. There is Penicillium glaucum, because the Italians are the only one who don't use Penicillium roqueforti. So the Penicillium glaucum is in the milk, but it will not be blue until the cheesemaker is piercing the cheese, top to bottom, bottom to top. Yeah. So once the cheese is pierced, then oxygen comes through, and the penicillium is reacting to the penicillin reacting to oxygen, and it starts to glue. So very often you see impact there, and then cracks and nookies and whatever, it sort of goes everywhere. But Antonio went further, and this cheese is called Blue 61, and it's called that because in 2000 and I don't remember, 5 maybe, or maybe 6, he was celebrating, sorry, I remember now. 2012, he was celebrating his 50th wedding anniversary. And rather than looking for a diamond for Giuseppina, beautiful lady, she's probably still waiting for the diamond.
Yes, she's probably thinking what happened. What have I done wrong in my life?
Yeah, well, he said, I'm going to make her a cheese. Oh, sorry, excuse my French, my English, my everything. So he created Blue 61, and he used it. Sorry, it's like, yeah, sorry, it's very messy now. But guess what? We can lick fingers.
And I move back over here.
Delicious. So he created the Blue 61, which he washed in passito wine from Italy.
Okay.
And matured it on cranberry that also been soaked in passito wine there. So it sort of adds a beautiful sweetness to the blue cheese. So blue cheese is inherently salty because you salt it quite heavily. All blue cheese are quite heavily salted, and that's why it starts to be very difficult to pair with wine, because salt is non-existent in Oh, I know you've got
We've seen that. We've seen that. Yeah.
So but the wine is giving a nice little fruity touch, plus of course the what's it called, the
cherries.
No, it's not cherry. It's, what do you think? I forgot, but what is it? Cranberry.
Cranberries, yeah.
So it's really something that is a lot more agreeable to even somebody that is a little scared of blue cheese. You know, blue cheese can be a little confronting. It's an acquired taste. So there I remind you that you're not born liking red wine. So give a little bit of blue cheese to that beautiful girl. I'm sure she's gonna love it. Let's not have any preconceived ideas. She does like it. She fabulous. Does. Yeah,
my son too has been loving all of it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. This is one of the only blue cheese at the moment that I found amazing with all possible wines you're gonna play with. It smooths down everything. It takes out the aromaticity without destroying anything. And it's really interesting, because I'm a fan. I like the blue cheese, but not a super fan, because it makes my life more difficult when I work. It's the other thing is a lot of people, and should be considered, a lot of people, because they like the blue cheese, when they start the platter, they start from the blue cheese. And when they do that, they zero the palate, and every cheese after is going to disappear. So I always there running and trying, no. Blue cheese, keep it at last. At least this one is not going to do a damage.
Exactly. But still, it's certainly a cheese that you would keep for last, because it's quite overwhelming for taste buds. And as you said, it's important that you keep your taste buds as clear as possible for as long as you can. But by now, I think we all a little bit like, okay.
Now you want to know who thinks about the wine, which is going to be the wine is going to work well with this cheese. Dun, 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 dun,
yeah, okay, I tell you.
Not valid.
Okay.
I was asking them.
Okay, sorry, no.
Come on. You can leave a comment below. You can say, what do you think it was the best wine for the blue? And if you haven't tried the blue, you can go to buy it.
Okay, well, I know the answer to that.
Yeah, do you? I was a little bit difficult because I was happy with both. No, that's it.
You know, it's interesting because taste buds are changing depending on the time of the day. For us women, you know, premenstrual, not premenstrual. You had an argument with somebody. You drank coffee before. There's lots that can affect your taste buds. So what tastes good one day, that's just, it doesn't have to be a constant in your life. And that's also good, because you need to, you know, don't get stuck with what you like or what you don't like more. So try again, because it's you might change that.
Well, I've been choosing a couple of I've been developing a couple of experiences with distillates or liqueurs and chocolate, and it was make it easy, because obviously over there the flavor is much more controlled and there is no risk of damage from the temperature. And then struggles maybe the way how people approach the product, if the product is not ready, not open or that, but still it's interesting.
All right, so I'm interested because another excuse. All right, so tell us more. How do you take that blue, and how do you make your decision there as to which one's the best?
Okay, so this match obviously it's a respect with the cheese. So I will go with the white.
What?
Yeah, because in this case I can still get all the aromas from the cheese, while from the red wine there is a bit more competition in the middle, and because of that I'm losing the characteristics of the cheese.
Wow.
That's why I will go with white, but it's just for a little bit.
Wow. So
What about you?
I'm totally going for the red.
Yeah.
Totally going for the red.
What do you like? You like the red too, do you?
Yeah, red. Yeah.
What do you like for the red?
Oh, yeah, red. Yeah, I like the. I think you need a generous mouthfeel to cater for a cheese that is quite generous itself, and it's generous in cream, it's generous in flavor, it's generous in so many ways. Then I think the white is missing that. So you're true. I mean, you're gonna let that cheese totally win anything because the wine disappear. This one, no, I mean, this one disappears. It's just like if he was here or if he wasn't here. Unfortunately, sorry, little wine, but I don't think you would miss it because it sort of it made zero impact on
the cheese. Yeah,
zero.
Yeah.
But this one, on the other hand, is quite capable of taking the cheese by the shoulder and said, okay, let's talk and let's start a conversation and let's develop a relationship. I think I definitely have more pleasure out of these pairings.
Perfect. That's one of the cool things is that you can also come out with next steps.
Yeah, and by the way, blue cheese is always as strong as you let it be. So you're in charge. You always have a honey in your cupboard. But we gave you some of those lovely little, muscatel there, a little, and muscatel plays a nice, it's like a little bridge. So I'll show you. You do, oh, where are you?
No, that's okay.
You put a little muscatel on your biscuit, on blue cheese, and that's a perfect bridge between the cheese and the wine. Try that, Lucy.
Okay, so when I've done the testing the first time, I gave a green on the Pinot Gris with the Brie. I gave 2 yellows for the wash rind and the cheddar. And then speaking about the white, and I gave 1 green for the blue. Green means that it's still working, okay. For the red, the only one that got green, it was the blue.
For the red, yeah.
Yeah.
But you saw.
No, this is just the testing I've done yesterday. So.
Okay.
So in this case, it's probably the palate. So I've been eating probably something that it makes it more bitter because when I had the red one, increased the bitterness. But during the testing that they've done yesterday, the one that came the best with the red actually was the blue.
Yeah, no doubt. So for me, the red was perfect with the Monte Rosso and perfect with the blue cheese. The Pinot Grigio was so good with the Brie, but so completely like marrying nicely the cheddar. That's what I think I call
the milky,
a marriage made in heaven. That's like, oh my goodness, like they're really meant for one another. Those two, this is it. This is the big story of tonight. I mean, I think the big story of tonight is
we have
those
a Pinot Gris with the cheddar.
Yep, and the big story of So now I'm going to put my finger there.
Ah,
Yeah, those two. We've got two absolutely happy forever after moments. And so it was quite nice. Well done.
thank you. I didn't make the cheese or the wine.
No, neither did I. But
Okay, so what your opinions? Do you agree or you don't? You wanna?
there's no right or wrong, by the way.
No,
I mean, that's another thing that's so cool, is that we all have different palates and we all obviously enjoy different things.
So
And,
it's almost, the time is almost gone. Huh? What do you think?
yeah, time's flying when you're having so much fun. So
Yeah.
thank you for organizing that. You put lots of effort into that, I can tell. And thank you for keeping up with us. And let's do that again, maybe we should.
Oh, definitely we're gonna do again, because now that I know what you are and I know that you like to do these things, I'm gonna make a lot of this because I love it.
But the thing is, and that's going to be my last little note for those of you watching, it's a fun game. It's a very addictive game. But there's one way to get better at it. You know what it is?
Eating?
Yeah, eating more cheese,
Yes.
drinking more wines, and taking notes, but also be a little bit more astute as to what you get and what you drink, what you eat is super important. So make every testing counts. Be proud of what you're purchasing, and share the stories, and have more fun and create more memories, and continue being curious and enthusiastic. And we've got plenty at the Smelly Cheese Shop to feed your curiosity and feed your enthusiasm and your love of cheese, and even your love of wine, because I love wine nearly as much as I love cheese. And I think those two together are just the pinnacle. So
they're working well together.
Yeah. So shall we cheers?
Together. Of course.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's so nice to share what we love the most. Thank you so much. See you, baby girl.